Good morning, everyone, especially to you, sir. I am Paz C. Kukilia, together with my group mates, Mr. Cariñosa J. Carl, Mr. Bardines Ian Ray, Miss Bongay Lauren May, Mr. Cabalquinto Marvin, Mr. Kakam Francis Miguel, Mr. Calovia Maurice, and Mr. Canonigo Jimel Louis. And we are the Group 2 reporters. So this is our topic, formalism and new criticism. Introduction to formalism. Formalism is a branch of literary theory and criticism which deal the structures of text. It means that external agents outside of the text are not taken into consideration. All the things about culture, politics, and the author's intent or societal influences are excluded from formalism. So, from the word form, formalism are only focusing on the text, the content within the text, such as grammar, syntax, signs, literary tropes, and etc. And when we say formalism, it is all about analyzing the text. We are going to analyze the text itself. It focuses of the text only. The biography, the background of the text, and the background of the author, it doesn't matter in formalism. It means that in examining a text through formalism, the social, historical, cultural, and political realities inside the text is neglected. Because formalism are focusing on a text alone without taking into account the context or any outside factors. So, for example, some people say that don't judge a book by its cover. But here in formalism, we are like judging the book by its cover. Why? Because in formalism, the one being examined is the text itself, its form, and its structure. Formalism is based on the technical purity of a text. It is divided into two branches, Russian formalism and new criticism. Formalism also argued that a text is an autonomous entity liberated from the intention of the author. So the next reporter will be discuss the Russian formalism and the new criticism. And this will be the end of my assigned topic. Thank you for listening.
So hello sir. For now, I will be reporting Russian formalism. Russian formalism, a movement of literary criticism and interpretation, emerged in Russia during the second decade of the 20th century and remained active until about 1930. And also, there are scholars of Russian formalism composed of seven persons. They are um, Victor, Yuri, Vladimir, Guri, Roman, Boris, and also the last one is Gregory. And also, there are three principles of Russian formalism. There are analysis of literature, linguistic, and literature. First one is analysis of literature should be factual. Linguistic is also an important aspect. Literature is and number three, literature is independent of external sources surrounding the text. Now that is my report about Russian formalism. Thank you, sir.
Good day to each and everyone. I am Ian Reyes Berdinas, and here is the continuation of our report. So, the new criticism. The new criticism was an American literary theory in the 20th century. Its philosophy was taken from John Prue Ransom's The New Criticism in 1941. So, the new criticism was a formalist movement in the literary theory that dominated in American literary criticism in the 20th century. It It emphasized close reading, particularly of poetry, to discover how a work of literature functions as a self-contained, self-referential, and aesthetic object. So it gives discipline and depth to literary scholarship through emphasis on the text and closing reading. And the new criticism is an analytic literary criticism that is marked by concentration on the language, imagery, and emotional or intellectual tension in literary works. So the new criticism it focuses on the variety and degree of certain devices, specifically metaphor, irony, tension, and paradox. Uh, it emphasizes also the close reading as a way of engage with the text and paid close attention to the interaction between form and meaning. So the example of the new criticism is that the reader can analyze this story by looking at the themes, stanzas, and repetition. Uh, Also, the new criticism include art for an art's sake, content and form, and text exist in and for themselves. These promises lead to the development of reading strategies and isolate the and objectify the overt structure of text as well as authorial technique and language uses. With these isolated and objective readings, the new criticism aims to classify categories and catalog works according to their formal attributes. So along the way, the new criticism wants to pull out and discuss any universal truth that literary works might hold concerning the human condition. And these truths are considered by new critics to the static, enduring, and applicable to all humanity. Next report.
Next is formalist criticism. Many new critics did not only accept the approach of formalist criticism, however, it is also insisted on incorporating objectivity in the text analysis. So, from the word critics, that means the expression of disapproval of someone or something based on perceived faults or mistakes. So, this states here that new critics did not just agree with formalist criticism, because it is also asked, nevertheless, that the text analysis include objectivity, or they agreed with the notion and held the opinion that each literary work needed to be comprehended and examined separately. There shouldn't be any intervening exogenous elements influencing the text interpretation, such as this political, social, or biographical ones. And additionally, the formalist analytical method rejected the author's aim. In fact, the method views it as being less important than how the material affects the reader.
Good day everyone, my name is Marvin Cabalquinto. Today I will discuss the meaning of formalism. So, what does formalism mean? According to the formalists, literature encapsulates many verbal signs which do not physically imitate anything but encode a vast amount of information. It follows the conventions of written language. In the literary work, these signs formulate a unique and distinct verbal system, testifying vicarious experience to create a causal relationship with the text. So, formalism describes the critical position that the most important aspects of work of art is its form, the way it is made, and its purely visual aspects rather than its narrative content or its relationship to the visible world. To put simply, it a critic receives and experiences a reader is language. A text contains literary forms, which are one of the important aspects of critical discourage. So, formalism in literature refers specifically to a unique inquiry style that focuses on some important features of literary text. Mainly, excludes intellectual, biographical, and historical context while analyzing a text. The word formalism is derived from the central belief of the formalist approach. It signifies literature work as piece of content that aims to detect fallacies from it, typically considering literary forms important while eliminating superfluous perspectives. Formalists endeavor to trace different literary forms, development, evolution. So, in the formalism definition, new critics attempt to explain why the structural analysis of language is important. Moreover, they have focused on language and symbols in order to demonstrate the paradox, ambiguities, and tension of the text. They further gauge the author's success in constructing meanings and resolving linguistic symbols in the works overall for each unit. For example, the Scarlet Letter has careful image patterning, symbolic narrative techniques, and a strong narrative point of view, making itself a subject of formalistic analysis.
Good morning, I am Francis Miguel and I am tasked to discuss historical perspective in formalist criticism. Formalist theory is not a product of a single approach. However, there are many schools of thoughts that which favored the approach in different eras. Upon tracing the history, you will see the terminology formalism is a combination of different approaches. Many of them diverge from each other but encapsulate the same theme. In the broader spectrum, formalism was one of the dominant academic studies in the domain literature. It gained popularity in the United Kingdom and the United States after the Second World War in 1970s. Particularly, authors and analysts attributed this new approach to the new critics such as T.S. Eliot, A. Richard, and John Ransom. In Europe, on the other hand, formalism theory or formalism primarily emerged out from the work of authors like Victor Sloskovsky, Roman Jakobson, and Boris Etnobaum. The new criticism theories and Roman Jakobson theories have striking similarities, despite the fact that both schools of thought developed in separate eras in isolation. Many critics see nothing identical in the theories. According to them, the proposed theories have differences in their respective philosophies and diverge from each other. The key ideas. The focus of the approach must be in literariness. A critic should find them on the text from level the content, which means that it should be simple or no flowering words. Use art as a defamiliarization device. Consider the text as a sum of its literary device content from fabula and plot. These are the inseparable items. The familiarization from the text allows the readers to hold its reading pace and enables him to accomplish a rewarding engagement with the literary text. Literature has a history of innovating formal structures No reader should determine it by material and external history. The language and the theme of literary work are the significant aspects, and you cannot analyze each one of it in isolation. Therefore, both structure and form are not only decorative wrapping but also integral to the literary content. The literary device a writer employs are the most important thing he can use to draw attention. Next reporter.
I am Maurice Jake Arcalubia, and I am here to discuss what is a neo-criticism, a formalist movement, often called neo-Aristotelian approach. Neo-criticism was a cluster of different attitudes with a primary concern of discovering the intersect work of literary devices. And comparatively, a new technique, neo-criticism offers a interpretation of critical procedures to analyze the poetry. The neo-criticism was a formalist movement in literary theory that dominated American literary criticism in the middle decades of 20th century. It emphasized close reading, particularly of poetry, to discover how a work of literature functioned as a self-contained and self-referential aesthetic object. So the example for this is the reader can analyze the story by looking at the themes, stanzas, and repetition. So the new critics focus their attention on the variety and degree of certain literature devices, especially in metaphor, irony, tension, and paradox. The new criticism emphasized close reading as a way to engage with the text and paid close attention to the interactions between form and meaning. That's all, and let's proceed to the next reporter.
Basic assumption constructed by neo-critics. Literature creates its own origin as a natural process and instigates human consciousness. It is the text that creates the meaning, not the reader. A reader can appreciate and decode the text without applying any resources attributed to authorial intentions. Utilizing an intrinsic approach to decode the text is a must-do thing. A reader can only enter the literary text by unlocking its semantic from the inside, considering external factor is not important. Formalistic approaches study the text just like text, nothing more. Formalist reading of poetry focuses on rhymes, structure, rhythms, and cadences without seeking its cultural, political context. That's all. Thank you.